It's my perspective. Yeah, from my perspective. It's my perspective. Yeah, yo, am I wrong or is it just you? Or did my life show me some things that gave me my view? And if I went through what you went through, would I be you? I don't know. That's too many questions with no answer, but plenty chances for many lessons. Am I willing to learn that it's all perception? That the picture that I paint ain't the one that you sketching? So can we disagree without drawing a weapon? Long as I can understand that it's just your perspective. Yeah, it's my perspective. Yeah, from my perspective.
Good evening, everybody, and welcome to My Perspective Friday. Our topic today is what should happen when young women lie about their age. And I guess I will start out by saying that I don't date young women, first of all.
Well, full ass either.
This is the PSA.
That's a PSA
before we
announcement.
start.
Exactly. But I honestly believe that depending on the age, what should happen, if they are under the age of 18 and they're lying about their age and somebody catches statutory rape, I think that they should be charged too. Yes, Keone.
Walk out of church.
I raised my hand because I didn't want to cut you off. I just want to
There
say,
you go.
one, because I haven't messed with you in 2 weeks. And so I got to for my sister.
It's been 1 week. It's been 1 week since you didn't mess with me.
I loved how you started it off with the great Friday excitement. That was really good energy. Number two, you don't date younger women. Well, you can't date who don't want to date you. And number three, you damn right you don't date young women because you married.
Oh my God.
You have
You getting already?
disclaimer. Okay.
Cynthia.
Oh my gosh, we got it all.
Cynthia, do you want to be the host for next week for the 28th?
No, I'm good.
Word.
Word.
I love you.
Wait, no, thank you, Keone, for that. Tila, what do you think?
I feel like since you brought up the statutory rape thing straight off jump, you just threw that straight out there from beginning.
Hey,
So I have kids that are biological, bonus, spirit. And I got kids, right? And a lot of females I talk to when they're younger. And when I tell my children, if they ever got caught and I knew they were lying about their age and that young man was sent to prison, I would step up for him and be like, look, so what is my daughter going to get? What is her disciplinary action for this? So I do feel like there should be something done to the females that are actually doing some of these things that they could stop doing to make these men feel like they are of age, not telling the correct age, because they don't know. They only know what you tell them. And today you can't really tell the ages of people anymore. So there has to be some type of leniency to a point, especially when you have a guy that's 19 and the girl's 16 and they've been dating since they were 13 and then he goes to become an adult and now it's a problem. So some things in there that needs to be changed with the laws. I feel like that's just my perspective.
I'm glad you said that because Lynn, don't you agree? We're not talking about a 40-year-old guy at a club talking to someone he thinks is 20 or 21. I'm talking really close in age. Mm-hmm. Like you're 22, you're in a club, and no one says at a club, "Hey, how old are you?" Like that never comes out of your mouth. You just assume everybody in the club is an adult because you're supposed to be. Most clubs you got to be 18, most of them 21, and then some have different. So you just assume everybody in there is of age. Yes, we have the knowledge that people use fake IDs, but who is really gonna card ladies inside of a club?
Investigative action in the moment. Yeah.
Now I'm just one. First off, I think that if we're dealing with underage minors, let's make sure that we're clear. We're talking minors dealing with maybe early adult, 18, 19-year-old guys. If you're looking at that range, the first thing I got to say is young ladies, why are you doing this? Why are you going into the clubs like this? Because you already know what you're going in there for. I'm not saying it's necessarily to go get into a real intimate situation, but you already know you're going in there trying to be grown. Now, we could bring up the conversation about where your mama at, you know, or where your daddy, somebody to just say, no, we don't need to do that right now. You got plenty of time for that. But, you know, I think that I don't ever want to be one that will say that the men are always wrong. They're wrong in many ways, but, you know, at the same token, when, yeah, I said it. You know, I love my brothers. Y'all know I do.
We'll have to expound on how they're wrong in this situation.
Oh, no, that's a different show.
No, that's another show. That's another topic. But
You're strong about that statement.
that's another topic. But you know, we do know that stuff happens, and I just think that young women, if you're going to step out there, you have to be willing to stand up and you know, take your side. I mean, own up to whatever you've done not proper or whatever. It's not going to always be just the men. Because listen, I've seen recently the way some of these young women are dressing, you can't tell.
Mm-hmm.
None of them wear clothes. Well, some of them wear clothes, but
Take us through all these topics, man.
we got some more topics coming, don't we?
Cynthia, what do you think about this topic?
I think, I mean, if you're a minor and you're lying about your age to, you know, get an older man, you know, which now they call that catfishing, they definitely should be accountable for their actions. You know, I just don't agree with it at all. You shouldn't lie about your age to begin with, but you know, young kids do it. What? You lie about your age?
You do it when you get older. It's acceptable.
No, I don't.
Huh?
So
I don't lie about my age.
Okay, there's 5 women in America who don't lie about their age. You're one of them. Got it.
Because I look younger than what I am, so I don't need to.
there you
I
go.
play
There
the
you go.
guessing game, okay? I play the guessing game. Nobody knows. They don't know
That's
about
it.
how I act and look.
I said this day and age you can't tell. That's why it's an issue.
So
Right.
let me ask a question, you know, and this one is for Keone. Now, do you think that there are some states that understands this and may have lowered the age of consent? Because there's 32 states with 32 states out of the United States their age of consent is 16 years old.
Wow.
So we're looking at now out of 32 states, that means that somebody that's 21 can legally have sex with somebody that's 16.
That's
I
crazy.
mean, but do you think that's why the states lowered their age of consent? Because too many men were going to jail because of women lying about their age, or excuse me, not women, but girls lying about young women lying about their age.
Well, I would be a lying fool if I knew if I was educated. You said I was educated on why each state did that. I don't assume it was for, because that would be a very slimy reason to lower the age of consent or raise it. You know, once upon a time, of course, you could get married at 14, but I know we're talking about a while ago. So I actually did not think that 16, and because men were getting in trouble for having sex or having sexual relations with people under 16, that happened. I know some states have done it because of something Tequila said a while ago. I think it's more of the people who are in relationships in high school, and now the male has become an adult because he's 1 or 2 years older than you first, which is not fair. But I don't think it's because of, 20-year-old men at clubs or outside of clubs are linking up with girls who are younger, who say they're younger. Of course, you have the men who are doing it even though they know they're younger. That's a whole different topic, but I don't think that's the reason. I think it's more of the high school relationship where the father because I've seen stories where the father was okay with them dating, and then as soon as the boy turned an adult, all of a sudden there's a problem.
Right.
Right. And you know, there's only 11 states for the age of 18 that's considered age of consent. So it looks like the trend is going down from 18 down to 16. And I don't know when this happened, but like North Carolina, the age of consent is 16 years old. So it's kind of it's kind of baffling where it went from 18 to 16. I would, you know, I would really like to know why did the age of consent went down. But you know, that's not for this show. But that I just wanted to put that out there that out of the state, out of all the states in the United States, there's 32, that's 16. You got 11, that's 18. So it's kind of funny to me now thinking about it. It's like, why did they do that?
Yeah.
You have some countries that the age is 14. So, I mean, it's a lot of questions that can be asked. You have other countries that's 14. You get married at 14. It's like, how do you have the wherewithal to know how to handle a marriage at 14?
Yeah,
Exactly.
crazy.
Well, if you're getting married at 14, you're not handling a marriage. You're basically doing the old school thing is, if I'm the breadwinner, cook my dinner, have my kids, make sure the house is clean. So there's not really, you're basically still being a kid. You're just married to a person. You're cleaning up, cooking.
You're the servant. You're the child.
So
taking orders.
I don't see a grown-up saying, you know, I really need to marry this 14-year-old because I want this equal partnership to where we're just going to take our company to the heights it needs to go.
Did Jerry Lee Lewis married his 14-year-old cousin? Yeah.
Oh, was she a blood cousin? You know, look, I ain't gonna judge you. We've all been at family reunions and have done the math. Oh, she fine. Wait a minute. Okay, so she is. Okay, so
I ain't even gonna lie. I dated a few cousins I didn't know was my cousins until we brought to the family reunion. Like, oh, what? Oh, snap.
Yeah.
Just didn't know.
See, girls will say, oh, snap, and ask questions. Guys, we just do the math. Okay, she my seventh cousin on my daddy's sister. We good. We good.
You might be right about that. Well, we already 7 months in. We done did the do, so might as well continue.
We got to make sure it's far enough away to where we're not having cross-eyed babies. That's what we got to do. Far enough away.
Wait a minute. Wait. How did we go there? Oh,
because you was doing this on your phone and you missed it.
I was looking up something about age of consent. Someone then sent me to the Google.
Mm-hmm. What I can say is that the age of consent is dropping, but yet you still have to be 18 or what, 21 to go buy alcohol.
Right. They need to change that. How are you an adult at 18, but you can't do all the other things until you're 21? Makes no sense.
Wait a minute. Hold up. I know I'm getting ready to throw another topic in there, but, but look, if the age of consent has been lowered in so many states, nobody thought about that when they came to say reversing Roe versus Wade, right? Nobody.
They don't care if you 10. They don't care because you could be 10 years old. You could have a 10-year-old have a baby, and they feel like it's fine if it's incest, rape, or what.
Tone,
they don't care. Period.
On this topic, Tone. Sorry, that was Tone in the comments. He's a co-host of Dose of Dopeness. So thank you for watching us.
All righty.
But I can say I have spoken to a lot of young girls, and sometimes I hear the reason they tell older guys, and I'm not saying that spectrum where they're 16 and they're trying to talk to a 40-year-old, but they might talk to a 22, 23-year-old because they feel like, as we've always heard, girls mature a little faster than boys. So they feel like they're not on my level. We can't have a basic conversation. The guys around my age are childish. They're immature. You hear all of these different things. So I don't know if that's part of why they feel like they have to tell or not say, because sometimes they don't even tell what their age are. They just let them assume what they are because they're having a good conversation and they're vibing, so they're cool with it.
I think so, and I think a lot of times we're always taking the sneaky approach. You know, sometimes it could be a simple thing where you're a 17-year-old girl, you've been growing up with these girls in high school. Now they're a little older than you. They're 18 and 19 and 20 now. And you just want to go out and hang out with them in the club. So you get your little fake ID and you go, not with the intent in mind of I'm trying to meet a boy.
Right.
But those things can naturally happen throughout it. So I don't think it's always a sinister thing. And you said earlier, Lynn, where's mama and where's daddy? I always say that, but then I always have this thing of they ain't everywhere. And it's a child's job in every generation to figure out how to sneak out. Like, that's, that battle's
I
never.
told all my children the rights, the wrongs, they're going to do what they want to do regardless.
Yeah.
If I find out about it, they know that punishment is coming. But I mean, you can't be with them 24/7.
Right. Because I knew when to put that sleeping pill in my mama soda to get out that house.
Just like she was putting the NyQuil in your drink to get when she wanted to get hers.
She wanted, right.
I was tit for tat.
Right. Lord.
Well, Lynn, you got the hot mamas who were too young when they had the kid, and now mama's still trying to go to the club. So when she go out, daughter jump out the bed.
Yeah. That's
right.
True.
Right.
Yeah.
That's true.
So what did you find on the Google?
Nothing. I mean, I couldn't read and talk to you at the same time.
She heard cross-eyed babies and just totally got distracted.
Ooh, it was.
I do feel when these young men end up in jail or a charge, there should be some statutes that should be changed, or it should be something in there that says, okay, well, if this person is going to be punished, she should be punished in some capacity as well. There has to be some accountability to keep them from continuing to do it over and over and over again. Because what you think they're going to do? Stop with that one? No, they're going to go to the next one and do the same thing.
So if we know this,
usually they're looking for attention.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, exactly.
So
we know that since there's 32 states that is 16 and men are going to jail, that means that these young ladies have to be about 15, 14, or 13 if I'm just doing the math on the majority of the states. So and they're in a club, and I'm not of course
that's I mean, I know times have changed. I do know this, okay? But I mean, when I was 13, 14, 15, 16, I was busy with school. I was busy with activities. I was busy hanging out with my friends. We weren't clubbing at the time. We might have been at house parties, that kind of stuff. But it wasn't about trying to sneak out and get to the club. I mean, if we were.
I ain't gonna lie, Miss Lynn. At 13 years old, I was in some clubs I shouldn't have been.
Well, we weren't in the.
I ain't gonna lie. Just two of them that I stepped into, but I had to step right back out at the same time.
Right. Now, see, if I was sneaking out, I might have snuck out to the movies with somebody, but
it goes back to what Keone was saying, because I had friends that were older, you know what I'm saying? So I was hanging out with them. So I end up in a car because I'm 15, 14, but I have friends that are 16, 17, and they're driving. I'm just in a car and I end up in the same place that they're at. And it's like, she's with me. She's good.
Right.
So it wasn't even about checking IDs. And then I get in here, I'm like, ooh, what's happening?
What's happening?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You mean what's popping?
We're making the total assumption that this whole topic is strictly about women that lie about their age when they are underage, or what about when we lie about our age as you're older, and you might have older men like a 20-year-old and
they can't get in trouble.
Well, you know what? Wait, I think women have started to not lie about their age when they're older, when the cougar phenomenon became popular. Because before, you didn't want to tell nobody you was 43, 45, and now when they see these little 23-year-olds with the six packs, they're like, "Yeah, I'm 45. Come on, the cougar, come get me."
or the MILF phenomenon.
Oh, whoa!
Ooh, okay, Sean.
That's a different.
That's on 2 different levels.
Moms, I like to have fun with. That's what MILF stands for. Okay.
Oh no, we're saying
that ain't what.
You know that. Wait, hold on. I gotta block someone in the chat. The channel is starting to do good when the porn sites start invading the chat.
What? Oh my God! What did we say? What did we say?
It's what? No, it's just when you if porn sites aren't trying to invade your chat, your channel's not progressing.
Right.
Wow.
Yeah.
No,
So that's an
Sean,
accolade right
you
there.
said the very version of what that meant, but that's okay. 'Cause that ain't no
Yeah, yeah.
relationship.
But I'm saying that when that little genre came out, older women was like just took off.
That
With-
genre's
with-
been out before
Celebrate.
then, though.
Well, but we weren't celebrating. Come on, we had started having songs like "Stacy's Mom Has Got It Going On." You know, they started making songs.
Right.
You know,
But
Miss Parker, woo, Miss
exactly,
Parker.
exactly. And then they took it to the porn industry, and all these 14, 15-year-old
Whoa.
little boys are out there looking at these.
Wait,
That's what I'm just saying.
You said the word and he started on it.
you don't understand. Wait, but the
but what I'm saying,
Yeah.
let me just do the correlation because you brought up cougars, and I was like, there's a phenomenon before cougars called MILF, and then we were talking about how it started, and you was like Stacy's mom, and I was like, yeah, and then after that, that's when the porn industry started getting into it. That's why so many people started wanting to date MILFs versus after that, then going to cougars, and then Bronchosaurus is after that.
How do you know the porn industry got into it?
What was that last one you
Bronchosaurus.
said? Brontosaurus? Wow. Wow.
You know what? Maybe that's why Sean always tells his friends, "Hey, if I die in a car accident, go to my house and erase my browser history."
Clear my cookies.
Everybody in this world has been on one of them sites. Don't play.
Cynthia, welcome.
You ain't doing
back.
nothing wrong.
Yeah, okay.
Everybody else is doing it.
Yeah. Thanks,
Look,
Lynn.
no, she's like this because originally her daughter was going to be on here. And she's like, "Wait, is this what happened to Cindy Carly too?" No, we cater the topics depending on what.
I know.
Yeah.
Where's Carly,
We
by the
can
way?
make it a little more
He's
tame.
out.
Yes.
Well, I've seen your husband. I know she ain't dating nobody older than her.
Nope, she ain't dating nobody right now. Oh, look, between us, we have 4 girls, and they were always afraid to bring guys home because of him.
Yes.
I mean, yeah.
That's the way to be.
That's right.
She's got a bodybuilder dad. I mean, he's built like a tank.
Everybody in my kids' life said my mama crazy, so please don't even come to the driveway. My mama
Well,
crazy.
I'm pretty sure your kids say, "Well, my mama don't like people, so she's not gonna like."
And she gonna tell you the truth. You may not like it.
So what? So we're not talking about people who knowingly know. You know, like when a teacher does that stupid thing, or someone in the community who knows that person is younger. We're talking about 2 things: people who are meeting someone and don't know, and then we're talking about guys and girls who are dating, and one becomes an adult before another. And I would think if you're 15 or 16 and you're dating a guy who's 17 and you're 16, I don't know why the parents wouldn't be having that conversation anyway. At that point, not waiting until that guy is 18 or 19.
Right.
You know? Because all that guy has to do is one thing wrong, and then we've seen the story where the parents flip on him.
Yep.
You'll see people in the community go, "Well, they've been dating." Well, it doesn't matter. The father has filed.
Yeah. Just because you called them. You was fine when it seemed like it was real nice and sweet and innocent, and then you caught them doing something you didn't want them to be doing, and it's a problem.
Yeah, that's the thing that kills me too, as if it's a surprise. And you'll get people go, "Well, these kids are fast these days." And every time I hear that, I remember my grandma saying, "When we was in the drive-through theater, I can't remember one movie we watched."
Right.
So
Right.
it's not like this is a new thing.
Exactly.
Where, yeah,
Exactly.
girls got pregnant back then. You put it on the hush. You didn't let it get out.
They got shipped away to the auntie's house. Oh, they on vacation. They're living with the auntie. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Send them to a convent. So this is not a new thing.
No.
Lookout Mountain. They weren't looking out.
So let me ask a question. Do you think that the punishment for the young lady who lied about her age should be as severe as the punishment for the man that's receiving the charges?
No, what I feel like is once it's admitted that she has lied, those charges should be dropped.
Yes.
Because
Yeah.
how can you punish somebody for doing something that was considered wrong if they did not know?
Right. And
Well, because they use the ignorance of the law
Right, is
when
no
they
right.
want to, depending on who the defendant is, or they use the ignorance of the law. If I was a senator's kid, they do the ignorance of the law. Well, she didn't say she was 17. I didn't know she was 17. It's illegal, but let me be regular Joe Schmo, and then flip that around, and I have relations with the senator's 16-year-old daughter at 18. And watch what happens.
Right.
Right.
Because if she's moving like an adult, you're not going to assume that she's a minor in that aspect. She was out late at night. She was where she's doing things like an adult would. She didn't have a curfew. So those things come up. It's like, if all the puzzle pieces fall into play, this person absolutely could not have known, charges should be dropped. If it's at a point where they feel like, well, no, at some point in time, you should have known. Yes, the punishment may not be as severe, but she should get some type of punishment if he's going to be punished.
no, I think it should be severe. I think it should be severe, because if she knowingly knows that what she does is going to get this man in jail for how many years, then the punishment should fit the crime on her side too. So if he's going to jail for 5 years, you're going to jail for 5 years for another charge, but it's related to this charge.
But listen to what I said. I said if it's at some point in time that he knew and he still continued.
Oh, okay.
That's what I said.
Yeah. That's another issue. But a lot of things, these young girls, they don't realize that when these guys who don't know that, that they're underage and they get arrested, that goes on their record for the rest of their lives.
Yeah.
It ruins their lives. I mean, they can't get jobs. There's certain things they can't do anymore. They can't go anywhere. They have to be a registered sex offender. It ruins them, and they don't realize that. So they need to be accountable for that.
Yeah.
Some states have that you stay on the registry for a certain amount of time, and if don't get in trouble, it drops off. But some it doesn't. But we're just talking about the sexual aspect. You have other crimes that you can be charged, because if you're at that club and buying her drinks, now you've provided alcohol to a minor.
Right.
So there's that.
Yeah, but I think that would go to the club, the owner of that club, because they're supposed to, vet those identifications coming in.
Do, but it won't, depending on the club, because not every club has fancy ID scanners. Some it's just look. It's got a date. It looks real. Some's got the light. And hey, these fake IDs are sophisticated. They ain't like when we had it, where you could look at it and like, okay, you tried really hard. Go on ahead and get in. It ain't like that no more.
Right. You're right about that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So there's different levels.
Not to pick at like a Kinston, North Carolina. It's just I'm thinking of a small town. Some of these small towns in North Carolina, you have these little bars. They might not have the scanners to scan ID, and you just go in there and
they just look at you. You just look the age and keep pushing.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Hopefully though that certainly I would hope that there are not young women that are out here intentionally setting men up for that. Now there may be.
They are.
Let me say, there may be some, clearly, that's part of the rule, that's part of, somehow how we get money, et cetera, et cetera. I don't want to presume that everybody that's young that lied about their age is they're just trying to be grown. They're not thinking about consequences.
Correct.
Len, I agree with you. That's what I was saying earlier, that sometimes it's just a girl trying to go out with the girls and things happen. I agree with you. I'm saying sometimes it's not for the girls that you were talking about. When you say hopefully, it's you having that morals of saying, please, I hope, but we know there's people that are doing it. Small amount. There's always going to be somebody doing something the wrong way. But I agree with you with that. I don't think everyone's just out here trying to do it sinisterly. But hey, when these things happen and somebody gets caught up, some of them, whether it's the lawyer or their father, they go ahead and put that shelter blanket on and the messed up makeup, and all of a sudden their world's falling apart.
Right.
We've seen it, not to get racial, but we've seen it we're used to it because we've seen it before. Back, throughout time. You do something with someone who doesn't look like you, and other people find out, and then all of a sudden it's rape.
Right.
So it's when you're caught, and now your brain being that young, and that's why you don't want young people to do certain things. Your father's upset, your mother's upset, and your first instinct is to lie about the situation.
Right.
Exactly.
Your first instinct, and then now when the police are involved, he's going to court and all that. Now you're in too deep.
Right.
Now you can't even talk your way out of it.
Right, because then that's embarrassment to the family and everything else. So you got to keep going with the scenario.
Yeah, because then if you admit that you were wrong, now you're going to have your skeptics. Oh, they must have talked her out of it. Who coerced her to change her mind? And it's just, it's a mess after that. Yeah,
it's a lot. Too much.
Best not to get into it.
Well, sometimes, since you brought up, hopefully they're not doing this, but we do know that there are runaways, there are situations where people just looking for a meal, they're hungry, they need shelter, and they didn't expect it to go as far as it went.
Sometimes, and I know Cynthia agrees with me, sometimes you're just trying to go out there and shake your ass, right, Cynthia?
Why do you have to do that?
You've been quiet for a minute, so I'm like, well, you were young once.
Yes, I was.
And like I said, you expecting to shake your booty in the club. You ain't expect to shake your booty in their house.
No, that's right.
Yeah, well, I mean, the charm gets put on you. You get words said to you that the other 16-year-old and 17-year-old boys aren't saying. Get your head pumped up a little bit.
You got caught up in a drink and somebody slipped in the pill like you did to your mama, so you can get outside.
Yeah.
So I guess my next question is, how do we mitigate that? How can men close in age to a woman that is younger, because you did mention that, Keone, usually it's the ones that are close in age. How can men mitigate that? If I say, show me if I say, if you say that you're 18 years old and I have an inkling that you're maybe lying, I say, show me an ID, and they pull out a fake ID, but at the end of the day, you're still going to jail because that's a fake ID. I mean, what do you do in these situations
it's an easy answer, but a lot of people don't want to do it. One, if we use a scenario where you're dating someone, this is a conversation you need to have with parents thoroughly. Keep your receipts, keep your texts. I always say keep your receipts, right? Two, if you at a club and you meet some girl, now listen, yes, some of them look adults, but you still know they're young, whether they look like an adult or not. There is no rule that says when you meet her at the club the first day that you got to take her to your house.
That's right.
Right.
Don't rush into having sex.
Yes.
Get to know that person.
Because look, if you meet her at the club and she seems young, ask her for brunch the next morning. See if she can make it. Drive herself there. Did she come on the bus?
Right.
An older lady drop her off down the street and you watch her walk to the brunch spot.
Come on a bicycle.
Sean, easy answer. You have to become that women's mentality where we investigate really, really well.
Oh yeah. Because
the investigator try to get you caught up as a man. You got to do that with the younger.
It's hard, Tila, because what happens is your brain says, "Oh, she's really cool. Let's just ask her on a date." Plus, she looks a little young, and then him down there be like, "Nah, she good."
Right. down there. Down there.
She's good. He be giving you a high five. She's good to go, bro.
Good.
Yes, he did.
And that is really hard when you see him down there because there are some strip clubs out there that have some underage dancers, and that's what's throwing a lot of them off. Where him downstairs gets thrown off.
I am so immature to be a 44-year-old. Tequila said it is really hard to see him down there.
You said it. Gotta bring in the euphemisms. It is what it is.
Okay, now, what were we talking about? Right?
We were talking about tools to combat
This is
going to
how-
jail.
This is how you know they're young.
So-
If you get into the sexual act and she's answering all your questions, she's young.
Yeah.
Oh,
Uh-oh.
God.
Oh my God. Okay. Well,
The affirmation. We talked about affirmations, Cynthia, before you joined the crew.
Oh God.
And so we picked that in a little bit because some of them talk too much during intercourse, you know, with silly questions like, whose is this? You know, it's good, right? And all these things.
Oh,
And
Carly is nowhere close by you right now.
No, she's not.
it's like, stop asking these questions because sometimes you might get the real answer.
And we know Tila's going to tell the real answer.
Oh, yeah. You're going to tell
I'm
what
gonna
it is.
tell it.
So,
Don't play them games.
you want to know what? No.
But yeah, man, I just feel bad for anybody who gets caught up in that situation where they're legitimately we're doing the right thing. But
That goes back to just don't rush into anything, period. Take your time.
Right.
Yep.
See things
Well,
through.
Well, you're
You will
talking
find
about
out.
young men adults that's in the club that's not even thinking about that. They're thinking about just buying a drink, finding a girl, take her home, and have sex with her.
Well,
Somebody
so let
like
me go to
me
your
that's-
house. Let's go to your house then.
Yeah,
If she can't
yeah,
go to her
and-
house. You can't go to my house, then that might be a problem.
well, I disagree
Right.
a little bit because even though I was saying the guys are doing that, but we all here's the thing, we don't want to listen to that little thing back there that's going, something ain't adding up, something ain't right. And we ignore it. Ignore it. Even when we drink, I was always one of these people, I'm like, I don't need gear goggles. I do exactly what I want when I'm drunk. When we drunk, we know it just
inhibition's
allows
gone.
us to do those things. And it's like, we still know what we do. Huh?
A drunk
The
man tells
inhibition.
no lie. Right.
Inhibited.
We know what we doing. I knew everything
Yeah,
I
but
was
the way
doing.
that you can keep to make sure, like if that's what you're thinking about, okay, I want to take her home,
Mhm.
take her to her home. If she can't go home, maybe there might be an issue.
Let me ask a question. How many men, if we picked up in a club, would say, I want to take her?
How many
go
men
to
have
her
we?
house?
I heard how many men
mean,
have we? You
I'm
said we?
saying, no, I'm saying how many men?
Sheila, I heard that too.
Hey, your question was how many men have we picked up in the club? First of all, the men I pick up in the club don't want to go home with her anyway. So they go home
I
with
want
me.
to clarify.
I don't even know why we're
How many men have we?
It's like when somebody
Okay,
asked me how many men does it take to screw in a light bulb. I'm like, if I've got men in my room, fuck the light bulbs.
Wow.
All right. Sean, answer
So-
a question.
so-
I just wanted to make
Okay,
sure
let's.
I did
If we
right.
take a poll, of 10 men,
Stripper
poll,
pole.
there you go, stripper poll, POLL. We take a poll of 10 young men in a club and ask them, "Are you trying to go to her house, or are you trying to bring her to your house?" If you think that she's young, most likely they're going to add. They're going to be like, "Well, I don't think she's young anyway, and I'm just going to try to have her and bang her out in the car in the parking lot. Come back in. Go to a hotel, take her to my house." But they're not thinking of going to her house just to test the waters. Somebody that's older that knows the trick of the trade may do that.
God, I'm so glad I respected women when I was younger.
Right.
I tell my boys to be real careful because these women are conniving. These women are not as innocent as you think they are anymore.
Mhm. And they'll
So,
set you up. You get robbed.
Yes, real quick. So I have to tell my boys the same thing. You have to be real careful with these women.
You said anymore.
Like I tell my girls to be real careful with these men.
You said anymore.
different
I got aunts 30 years older than me that was doing the same thing. What do you mean anymore?
No, because anymore meaning because everybody thought people were so innocent back then, even though they weren't.
Oh yeah, they were being
Now
naive.
people know that they're not.
The naivete. Yeah, you're right. I
Mhm.
got you.
Mhm.
I see where you're coming from.
Hmm.
Naivete of that.
Yes.
Do you? Gosh. And Kathy, I'm sorry, Cynthia.
Yeah,
And you have no sons.
I have two.
Oh, okay. Are they older
Between us,
than the
we have
girls?
two boys and 4 girls.
Are the boys older or younger?
No, they're all older.
Okay, so basically you have they have a dad and two mini dads, as I call it when you have older brothers.
Right.
So let's reverse it. What were the conversations like? Because I know Tila, your son's too young. What were the conversations that you had with your sons about girls?
I don't remember.
She made something up.
I can't answer that one.
So I have
What about
bonus
your husband
kids,
that-
spirit kids, and God kids.
I never. Well, I would say like, okay, so I have son that is mine, and then I have my stepson. So I wasn't around when he was growing up. But my son, I mean, mostly I was hoping that his dad would talking to him, because I talk to my girls, and I always, told them, more about the outside world and going into bars and stuff from my past experience. So, but for my son, I don't know. I don't remember.
Because I'm the reason why I ask that, because we always hear the stories about dads when daughters introduce their guys of interest to dads. We all get those stories, but I always love to hear the stories of, I introduced my girlfriend to my mom, and when my girlfriend left, my mom was just like, absolutely not. I can't stand
Yeah. Oh yes.
Or like, she's a floozy. No, absolutely not.
Yeah.
That's not the one.
That's
So then
not
you have to start questioning your sons, because like I said, with my older, like my godson, what do you see in her? Tell me, I want to hear from his point of view. And then if I'm like, well, I didn't see none of that. So where'd you get that from? So sometimes you got to have a conversation, see what they're seeing, what their perspective is compared to what you're seeing, and then see if it all wraps up together.
I feel like Cynthia's would be a conversation. I feel like yours would be an interrogation.
I would, yeah. I interrogate them all.
Oh my God, it's backwards.
Even the girls, you got to.
It's a combination of interrogation and conversation. You got to do a little bit of both.
Still over there waterboarding their daughters. Good Lord.
Yeah, I was just thinking, right. It was like, okay, so they didn't bring the boyfriends around the house. That's what it was, huh?
Not until they got serious with one, then they bring them.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
All right.
You have to be real careful these days, because I understand. I don't know if it's the water, if it's the milk, the hormones and steroids they're putting in food, but looking at someone, you cannot tell how old they are. So you just got to take your time.
It's great. Like, I worked at a high school the other day, and I thought this person was a teacher. Their beard was literally this long.
Oh wow.
And they were 16.
Telling you, these days you can't tell. Because even if let me flip the script 1 minute, since you just brought up high school, because there are adult women doing the same thing, picking up young men.
Yeah.
So it could go either way. So if you think about, if you're gonna punish one, punish all in every scenario.
I mean, you're talking about picking up underage young men.
Yes, there are women picking up underage young men. Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, I do that much less since we have pills now. But all right.
Well, you hear about it all the time, about a teacher and a young man and something all the time, or an adult woman with this young man that's 16, 17, and you be like, what? So it goes both ways.
Okay. Well, I think what I'm going to do now is just tell you what I think. Well, I tell you what I would say to my son with the conversations that I had with him about women. I told him to respect women, first of all, respect yourself. Check what I always say, measure twice, cut once. If it's too good to be true, do some background on it. Do some background on her. And I always tell him, I said, listen, you're going to be at the age of, you're going to be 18. And I told him about the laws. I told him about how fast he can go to jail, and or even be hurt by somebody else that's trying to set him up. So I told that to my son, and I told that to my daughters. I told that to my sons and told that to my daughters, because I think that they all should know the exact same thing.
Mhm.
Make sure I could see him counting in his head, trying to ensure he had the number of children correct.
Oh my God. When you said too good to be true, my mind went to what part was too good to be
Right.
true.
It was too good. Woo!
It's too good to be true. I was
Too
like,
good to be
how
true.
far do we get down in this conversation or relationship?
We don't want to go too down in the conversation to make Cynthia not come back.
It's just like, oh my God.
It's not always like, well,
Right.
never mind.
Yeah, again, Lynn.
We didn't talk about that when we talked about protesting, okay?
Yeah.
Mm.
So final thoughts. We're gonna start this. Actually, I want to start with Lynn. What are your final thoughts on this topic?
Because Lynn was kind of quiet today.
Yeah, she was kind of quiet.
That's, I
She's
have,
out there. She's out there trying to check the facts. She's trying to make sure that boy is.
That's
She's
it.
trying to
was
make
doing
sure
what
that
you
boy
said.
is over 16.
Measure twice, cut once.
I don't think that's it. She had her nice
all right.
turtleneck on, her nice little earrings. I think Lynn got somewhere to go. That's what I think's going.
Well, now it is true, but it's not a date. Okay. It's true. I do have an event. However, because sometimes I don't say things because, quite frankly, I kind of get frustrated by what we've allowed, certain developments that we just allow and accept and go, well, times are changing, this or that. For me, there are things that are basically be a woman, be respectable, be, and it's not about being in place. Y'all know I don't believe in, being in place like your role is this,
Stereotypes.
but be respectable. And the other thing is, the bottom line is, you got plenty of time to grow up. At some point, enjoy your adolescence, enjoy being a teenager. I mean, some of the things that we're talking about are stuff that I didn't even have time to think about because I was too busy being a teenager, enjoying high school, enjoying all of the friendships and values that I got from that. We're hanging out a club. Now, that's not to say I didn't have my share of,
Debauchery.
maybe what I should not have been doing, but, clubbing and trying to just be all up on the men and all that kind of stuff was not where I was. I had too many other things going on, and all of that is part of a background of development that I don't think we have to just give up on and say, oh, well, times are changing. You know how young people are now. It's up to us to be able to share, reshare, reiterate the values of certain sorts of positions, being respectable, being a young lady, slowing your roll a little bit. You can be fast in other ways. You don't have to be fast just trying to be hot and out there, whatever. You got, there's a lot more to learn. So I'm quiet because I'm like, look, I got to give the mama lecture, the Lynn lecture, the Tila lecture, I think it's ridiculous.
Thank you, Lynn.
And that's
Cynthia.
my perspective.
And that's your perspective. And that's your hashtag.
Hashtag my perspective on Friday night.
Cynthia, what is your perspective on this topic?
What was the topic again? We done bounced around.
Yeah. What should happen when young men...
We got people bouncing around when they shouldn't be bouncing around. That was
The topic is what should happen when young women lie about their age?
Well, they definitely need to be held responsible for it. I just it's irresponsible when they lie, and they don't. And maybe because they, the young ones that are doing it, they're looking for attention. They don't know better. So, parents need to teach these kids, these young girls, let them know where, if you're lying about your age and all this to get an older guy, they just need to know the awareness of what could happen, what could take place, and what could happen to the guys getting arrested, and how it goes on to their records for the rest of their lives. It's just, they need to be aware, because a lot of them, they're not aware, and then you do have some of them that are aware and they just, out there, but yeah, I think they need to be held accountable for it too.
Thank you. Tila.
So my final thought would be, yes, definitely you have to be aware. And it does start at home, having a conversation. But I also have to think about, as Miss Lynn said, times have changed a lot. So they have a lot of generations that they're learning from at home as well, where it was fine for a 13, 14-year-old to be married to an older man. And then you have another generation, depending on how many generations are in their home. They have a lot to think about and they may get confused. But with the times changing, if you go out here and you're responsible for someone else's life, you have to think about flipping that. If there's consequences for you, you would stop. So if they would put consequences on some of these women that these men are going to jail over, it might have a less effect on people saying, hey, whatever my selfish reason is for going out here lying about my age to get whatever is not the thing to do, because everybody's life is precious, is valuable, and you're going to have children one day too. So what are you going to tell them? So just take into account all of the factors. If you're confused, have a conversation, look up your own laws. Like Sean has told us multiple times, 32 states.
Right. 32 states.
You gotta learn what your laws are so you know what's going on. But also the parents, if you know your child has been in a relationship and you were fine with it, don't flip it later just because the age limit has went to a certain over the limit, or you get upset with the other person, because that's their life as well. So sometimes with the parents and the children, they all need to have a conversation together and realize that this is not what we need to do. Find out what the problem is, because there's a reason for her going out there lying, whatever the case may be. So just, as you know, go out there and just make sure you're not so selfish about what you're doing. Take other people's feelings and things into account.
Thank you, Tila. That made a lot of sense. Keone, your final thoughts.
Mine's short. Something should be done, but case by case basis. The severity of it. What were the factors that led to it? But what I'm just gonna say is, we've got enough guys out here doing things the wrong way. They don't need your assistance to help.
That was deep.
That's all I want to say.
Wow, it's hard to follow that one. My final thoughts is
I gave you final thoughts before you said final thoughts.
Okay, then.
Exactly. Okay, so now I forgot what I'm about to say.
Okay, then.
Okay, I agree with everybody. I agree with the cast. You need to teach your children, stay out of trouble, pretty much. I strongly believe that the crime should fit the punishment. If a woman is out there knowing that she understands what the law is and understands that this man may get in trouble, and you haven't told that man the truth, if he's getting 5 years, you should get 5 years plus one, because you was that plus one that night. So plus one.
So in other words, a law needs to be instituted that the woman is guilty of whatever the crime is called. Whatever, there needs to be a crime.
She's an accessory.
Right.
It's called
accessory to this. That's true.
It's called
and not after the fact either.
Exactly.
Before the fact.
Exactly. And to all these young men out there, as I said so many times, measure twice, cut once. So I want to
Okay.
Cuddy buddies. So I want to thank everybody for joining us tonight. Our beautiful cast. Please like, subscribe, and tell your friends, and come on back. Thank you everybody for spending the evening.
Enjoy your weekend. It's Friday.
It's Friday.
This is what happens when you do drugs.